Okay, this is a video on how Glasspacks work. Now, Glasspacks are probably one of the most old school and one of the most affordable and simplistic muffler designs out there. Glasspacks basically work mostly on one principle, and that's the principles of absorption. Absorption of sound waves. So basically, like I said, it's similar in a way to almost like sticking your head in a pillow so you don't hear something. It creates a barrier. At the same time, what it does is it actually takes the sound energy and converts it to physical energy by moving the fiberglass fibers. So this is basically a sketch of what a conventional Glasspack style muffler looks like. Glasspacks tend to be some of the best muffler designs out there because they're a straight through design. All right, there's basically no turbulence, no obstacles for the exhaust. It's almost like having a straight pipe altogether. The principles that make them work is the fact that the pipe right here, known as the core, all right, tends to have holes in it. All right, they're either going to be a louvered style hole or a perforated style hole. Louvered holes are old school. Almost all Glasspacks years ago used louvered cores. Why? Well, they were cheaper to build, all right, and this is basically a sketch of what a louver is. It's kind of like a cheese grater, if you look at the outside of a cheese grater, right? Sound and exhaust, sound waves and exhaust goes through. It gets scooped up in the louvers. It gets scooped up in the louvers and shot out to the core where the fiberglass insulation is. If you were to look down the center of the pipe, what you would see is something that looks like this. All right, so you're actually in a sense are reducing the diameter, which reduces, your performance, but at the same time, all right, you're creating a lot of turbulence just by having an object in the pipe. Most modern, Glasspacks have converted over to perforated, cores. Perforated cores are essentially just holes actually drilled into the pipe. So most of the exhaust continues to travel straight out. You look down the pipe, basically you see no obstructions. All right, now there's a little bit of debate on certain acoustic qualities. All right, at certain frequencies, supposedly louvers actually will make a little bit more noise than a perforated core, but I'm going to be honest with you, all right, about 90% of those sound frequencies, perforated cores are going to be a lot louder because there's no real obstructions to cause sound waves to cancel back into each other or travel down into the fiberglass insulation. All right, so basically what we have here, all right, is a simplistic sketch, all right, of a Glasspack. And if you could imagine it, basically a whole bunch of sound waves basically being scooted out around the insulation. All right, now some Glasspack designs incorporate other features. Some of them actually have baffles now in the sidewalls, just little short baffles, so that if sound does make it through the fiberglass insulation, or the fiberglass insulation itself is starting to resonate sound, it will actually bounce off, all right, the little baffles and try to cancel things down a little bit more. Another feature about Glasspacks is that years ago, many Glasspacks to save money, because a smaller diameter pipe also has, a smaller circumference, they would actually neck down the pipe. All right, and the necking down the pipe uses a principle known as constriction. Constriction in exhaust system is essentially, if you imagine a whole bunch of sound waves going out like this, what happens is they get all mashed into each other about here, and that causes a lot of cancellation to occur. All right. Another interesting thing about Glasspacks, all right, is some tricks people used to do with them. All right, Glasspacks, all right, like I said, the old ones had these louvers like this. Many people would try to, allow their car to have a little bit more power, all right, less back pressure in the exhaust, and also a little bit more noise by actually flowing the exhaust over the louvers. Essentially, Glasspacks of the louver design have a direction. They usually label it as like, one side's the front, one side's the back. You can reverse it, and it will actually flow over the louvers. So what will happen is that you have less drag, and only minimal amount of sound waves will actually get scooped up into the louvers. All right, now it's not a lot more, all right, CFM, which stands for cubic feet per minute of exhaust flow. You're not going to get a whole bunch more performance, but it helps. I would suggest getting a perforated design because that's what the vast majority of mainstay Glasspacks are nowadays. All right, now there's all different tricks also back in the day. People used to take Glasspacks, all right, and set them up on something that wouldn't burn, usually, standing up, and they used to actually pour in motor oil or diesel fuel, and they would light it up. And what would happen is that hot temperature of the burning would actually start burning some of the fiberglass insulation out. Then they would put it on their car, go for a long drive, and what they would do is they would take a hose and actually spray water into the core of the muffler. What would happen is the rapid change from expansion to contraction would actually crack up the fiberglass into smaller pieces that would be more likely to burn and actually fall out of the muffler. One of the interesting things about Glasspacks is there's actually usually a time period where they start changing sound. Some fiberglass insulation might get burned, but really what it does is it kind of settles around, and what will happen is the car will usually take on a deeper, more performance sound, which is a good thing. It might also get a little bit louder, but you know, not terribly much. All right, Glasspacks. All right, come with all different types of insulation. You know, back in the old days, the 60s and the 70s, most fiberglass used in Glasspacks was cheaper than what's used today, because the exhaust temperatures before catalytic converters really only were about like 500, 600 degrees Fahrenheit. Now they were talking 1500 to 1600 degrees Fahrenheit. In fact, in the 1970s, when catalytic converters really started being used on cars, there actually was a series of grass fires in many communities due to the hotter exhaust temperatures. So Glasspacks nowadays use a tougher fiberglass, and back in the day, not all Glasspacks even used fiberglass. Many would actually use steel wool and got the nickname steel packs. Supposedly they have a little bit more aggressive sound or something like that. Then there's actually Glasspacks which don't use any insulation at all, and they tend to be used as resonators, but if they are as mufflers, they're usually known as Cobra packs. Essentially what this is just sound waves going into a hollow core, the shell, rather, and mixing around the sidewalls and canceling each other out. You see, when you go to a Glasspack, you got to remember this is the core, this is the shell, and the most important thing in how quiet or loud a Glasspack is actually its length. Glasspacks can be made really short and used just as resonators, or really long and be used as mufflers. Now, if you don't know what a resonator is, essentially what a resonator is an accessory to an exhaust system that helps tune or slightly muffle an exhaust that already incorporates a muffler in it. There's all different types of resonators, but the most simplest ones are basically hollow Glasspacks. Sometimes Glasspacks themselves are used actually as resonators, and they can be before the muffler or after the muffler. But nevertheless, where was I going here? All right, Cobra packs, yeah, they're probably going to be a bit louder due to the fact they don't have insulation. All right, Glasspacks are a neat little muffler. They make a pretty interesting noise. Now, they're not as aggressive as a straight pipe, but they make a really, really nice muscle car rasp. All right, so they do sound pretty good. And I'm going to be honest with you, you can get Glasspacks that flow extremely well. In fact, some Glasspacks actually, the cores actually increase diameter rather than decrease or stay the same. You know, this is usually due to cheaper manufacturing processes, but they increase the diameter, which takes some basically high frequencies, and what will happen is a lot of them cannot expand and have the same amount of energy, so they essentially fizzle out, and you eliminate some of those higher frequencies. And usually a larger diameter pipe also tends to flow better than a smaller diameter pipe. But my point basically is that Glasspacks, the basic principle of a straight-through design muffler, has now been used by many, you know, big buck, you know, muffler company. I'm not going to name names, but basically all they do is they take a conventional rectangular muffler core, right? Sorry, it's kind of hard to draw through the back of a camera, but they have a little inlet and they have a little outlet and they have the core, something like this. And the idea, all right, is that they just make a bigger muffler. It's actually like a big oval muffler, and it just has a lot more insulation around the core of the pipe here. So it makes it a little bit quieter, maybe a little bit deeper, a little more refined, you know. But fact of the matter is, all you're buying is an overpriced Glasspack. All right, so that's another muffler design. All right. And anyway, that's basically a simplistic way of how a Glasspack muffler works. Not to mention clipping. Oh, almost end the video there. Now, if you haven't seen my video on clipping, I'll just basically try drawing it out here. What we have here is a sound wave, big nice arc. All right, and imagine it basically being in the tailpipe. All right, what we have are those little holes, perforations or louvers, and basically what you've done is you've cut the top of the sound wave out. So now there's certain frequencies that aren't going to be heard, and also you've gotten rid of the amplitude, you know, the decibels, how loud the noise is, by capping it. So essentially, all right, that's another theory in how Glasspacks work. Okay, I'll talk about more mufflers, but take care for now.